first. The bill that President Trump may sign just passed the House. It's going to be the first bill of President Trump's tenure, his second administration. It just passed the House literally moments ago. An example of how a single horrific crime can resonate all the way to the highest echelons of power. The House finished voting on the Laken Riley Act just moments ago. 46 Democrats joined 217 Republicans in passing it. It is a bill that ensures criminal illegal immigrants can be detained, no matter how small the crime they are accused of. The bill is named after a 22-year-old student who was brutally murdered while jogging on the University of Georgia campus last February. Her killer was an illegal immigrant from Venezuela. He was on the loose on the streets at the time, even after previous arrests for child endangerment and shoplifting. That's because the DHS can only detain illegal immigrants accused of serious crimes like rape and murder. The Laken Riley Act changes that. Now federal authorities will be able to hold and deport migrants like Riley's killer on smaller charges, including charges as small as shoplifting. Critics say it strips away due process for migrants who are accused but not convicted of those crimes.
This bill requires the government to detain people who pose no risk to our communities. It's a shameful bill that will result in the violent detention of innocent people and children.
The bill also lets state attorneys general sue the federal government when they disapprove of immigration decisions, a move Republicans say is essential to keep us safe.
Imagine the ability of Texas or North Carolina or Georgia or my colleagues to be able to say, you know what? Enough. The federal government does not get to ignore its fundamental duty under the Constitution to defend its citizens. And the attorneys general of states ought to be able to stop the federal government when it is endangering our people.
The House vote today comes after the Senate already passed it on Monday night, just hours after Trump took office, and with the support of 12 Senate Democrats. Let's go to NewsNation's Joe Khalil, now live on Capitol Hill. First bill to go to Trump, Joe, and it seems to have strong bipartisan support.
And that, I think, is the big theme, Elizabeth, is this is not an accident or a coincidence that this is the first bill that will land on Donald Trump's desk. Obviously, he comes in his administration with a priority being put on immigration and border security. And for Congress's part, this is their role now, trying to facilitate that part of President Trump's agenda. They get a win early on with this bill being passed. We mentioned 46 Democrats in the House ultimately voting for it. And by the way, 13 Democrats did not vote. That leads me to believe there might even be some more support for this. It just happens sometimes members intentionally or not will miss a vote. So there may even be more. Republicans are going to say 155 Democrats voted against it. But still, in an era as divided and partisan as we are in, anytime you get 3 or 4 dozen Democrats jumping on a Republican-led bill, that is a big deal. Let's quickly remind folks at home what this bill actually does. It would not just allow, but it would mandate that Immigration Customs Enforcement must detain any person who is undocumented in the United States who commits smaller level crimes, things like burglary, things like shoplifting, things like theft. It mandates that they would be imprisoned and then eventually be in the pipeline to be deported. Now, we've heard all the reasons for it. And again, Democrat and Republican support. They say if you're committing crimes and you're in the country illegally, that process should happen. The other side of the argument Democrats are making is they feel like it takes away due process for people who are here, even those illegally. We talked to Congresswoman Delia Ramirez. She's been one of the most out front members on immigration and DACA recipients specifically. This is why she tells us she could not vote for this bill.
What they're voting for is saying it doesn't matter if someone falsely accuses a 12-year-old for stealing a Snickers, or if a 12-year-old stole the Snickers, or if someone decided that they wanted to falsely accuse you and you get arrested. If you've been accused, you are guilty.
Of course, we've heard several of people make the other side of the argument, including Speaker of the House Mike Johnson, and they look no further than Laken Riley, somebody who was murdered by someone in the country illegally. They say deaths like that could and should have been prevented. If this law were in place, they say it would have been prevented. So that is in part why you see such strong support for this bill. And again, now on its way to President Trump's desk.
Yeah, it was a horrific crime, the murder of Laken Riley. We're seeing pictures of her on the screen right now. But go back to the opposition to this bill. The opposition centers around the fact that you don't have to even be charged with the crime. You just have to be accused. Someone can just say, he stole the Snickers, to use your example.
Yeah, that's exactly right. The language of the bill says that if you have been arrested for something, which doesn't mean that you have committed any crime, it's far from being convicted of a crime, but the argument goes that if you're in the country illegally,
you've already broken the law.
You're in the country illegally.
Yeah, but
exactly.
you've already broken the law, so then it would be the second time.
Right.
I guess, well, you know, in this case, the devil will be in how it's executed. Certainly, there was a lot of argument over how the bill was written. Thanks so much for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.